This must be the very classic layout of Courtyard, the courtyard.
Yes, this is of course a typical courtyard houses for a very upper class family in the late Qing dynasty. In fact, this is exactly where our museum is located.
Oh.
We are now standing in this bit, in
Right,
this
right.
house right here.
Okay.
So in the late Qing dynasty, this was the residence of Lin Fupeng, the local magistrate of Tianjin, and he was also deputy governor of Zhili province.
Okay.
The province around Beijing, or deputy mayor of Beijing, sort of like that.
Okay. High-ranking official.
Quite a senior.
Okay.
So he was able to purchase such a big courtyard to accommodate his family from the south. Wow. He's from Canton, and he's very well educated. He and his entire family live in this courtyard. But this is a very interesting drawing commissioned an old friend of mine, an artist, Mr. Zheng Xitong. So he was a ivory carving artist. So he designed a lot of ivory carving artwork in the 60s, 70s, 80s. And when he retired by the late 1990s, he realized that he has a lot of time, and a lot of picture houses are rapidly changing. Some of them getting demolished. So he went out there to take down all these interesting picture houses. So he published a book. This is his book right here.
京城民居宅院。
Inside, we have about 90, maybe 96, 97 picture houses depicted by him. Each one of them look different. So I gave him all the maps, drawings, oral history research, and old photographs from his family when we prepared this museum. So this is the artwork he came up with.
Right. Look at this.
And this is a replica of his artwork. But for people's convenience, visitors' convenience, we developed this to be a much larger wall painting. So in this picture, basically you can see a lot of interesting stories, not just the architectures, but also, most important of all, the life of
The
this
life
family.
of people.
Yes.
So Matthew, here I got a question. The courtyard looks way too big for one family. How many people were there living in this courtyard?
Well, he has one wife and 5 concubines, 15 children. So you can imagine how many nannies, how many chefs.
That explains. Must be a big family. Look at those people having fun, maybe dinner or I don't know.
It's not a
drinking
dinner, it's
session.
actually a painting session.
A painting session.
Yeah, because Mr. Lin
routine.
Fupeng, he is a very good painter. So he has established a club of artist gatherings. And this is not just any gathering, it's actually a gathering by some most famous 20th century artists, including Chen Banding, Chen Hengqu, Qi Baishi.
Oh, Qi
Perhaps
Baishi,
people
that's
are
a-
most familiar with
It's a
Qi
big
Baishi.
name. Yeah.
Because Chen Banding and Chen Hengqu, they passed away too early.
I see.
So, yeah.
Does he pass his like painting skill to any of his descendants?
His daughter is trying to learn it, but I think his daughter has her own job. It's
Okay.
But Mr. Zheng, he was trained as a artist. That's
Okay.
why he didn't do that. But a couple of small details. I think you should also come over here
right.
close.
Some details.
For example, you can see this is a moon gate. By the moon gate, you can see a child. It's actually a girl. She's about 6 years old. That's 1906.
Wait, so are you talking
She's
about
using
this
a piece
little
of
figurine?
Yes. She is using a piece of charcoal to make a graffiti on the wall.
Oh, right.
And there's an adult in the moon gate, and obviously he is looking at her. And obviously he liked her painting.
Yeah.
This is not anybody, but a very good artist friend of the father.
Okay.
So it's actually an artist paint for Empress Dowager Cixi.
Oh.
So it's an imperial artist.
Mr.
So-
Miao, as I remember.
It's
his name.
actually Mrs. Miao.
Sorry, Mrs.
Mr. Zheng didn't know that it's a lady, so
Okay.
he painted him her into him. But
Oh.
the story was told.
Okay.
So basically, this moment changed Lin Shuhua's life. This little girl is Lin Shuhua,
So that's Lin
who
Shuhua herself.
owned this courtyard where the museum took place.
So ever since she was a child,
Yeah.
she started painting.
And because, as I mentioned just now, the family has 15 children.
Right,
So,
right.
it's very difficult to pay attention to every one of them, especially her father was very busy.
Productive family.
Especially she was she was only the 10th daughter,
Okay.
not the eldest.
I see.
But because the friend recommended her, she told the father that this daughter of you is very talented.
Okay.
So the father was very pleased. So he decided to give her special
Tutoring?
opportunities.
Okay.
So whenever he meet artist friends, would bring her along.
Okay.
And that's where everything about this museum started. This is a very important moment.
Very interesting.
And later, when she got married, her husband and herself got this courtyard, the later half of this courtyard, as a dowry from the father.
Okay. A gift from the father.
A dowry.
Story. Okay.
From the father.
嫁妆. That's what it is in Chinese. Okay.
So later, this courtyard turned into this museum.
Wow.
Of course, that's another long story. It takes about 50 years to tell the story.
Okay.
I guess you don't have the time.
I need to talk to my parents about this 嫁妆 thing.
And so there's another two figurines on the rockery over here.
Yeah.
You see, there are two little kids on
yeah.
on top of the rockery, and one of them is using the finger to point.
Oh, those are kids.
Yeah, those are kids, and they're pointing to that direction.
Yeah.
And if you follow my pointer, you can see that they are looking at this direction, where you can see a temple. So this is Longfu Si, one of the most popular temples in Beijing.
Right. That's the ancient temple.
Yeah.
Like close to the Forbidden City.
Yeah, it's now turning into a new type of shopping mall at the moment.
Okay.
But another thing is that if you look further west,
All right.
again following my pointer, you see the Courtyard Park, you see the Forbidden City,
Right.
you see the white pagoda of
That's
the
the
Beihai
White
Park.
Pagoda, yeah.
And here you see the Summer Palace.
Summer
You
Palace.
see the Western Hills.
Okay.
Again, you see two people riding on donkeys.
Right.
The second one is Lin Shuhua again. So this is the third time she
Interesting.
appeared on this painting.
Yeah.
Because that's a story she told in her novel about her following her gardener, who has a very good friend in the Summer Palace, looking after the gardens of the Empress daughter.
Right.
Because Lin Shuhua was born 1900. So when she was 6-7 years old, it's only 1906, 1907. So still the late Qing dynasty.
Okay.
So it's a rare opportunity for her to go into the Summer Palace,
Right.
from the back door.
So
But the point I want to make, I
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
say
Go
this.
ahead, yeah.
I have to say this because after all the description for the past 5 minutes, the point I want to make is that Beijing was very flat. So even a little girl standing on top of the rockery, not to say on top of the roof, you can see such a view. So the city was very well planned. Even if you just stand on your rooftop, you can see, not just the width of the road and the hutongs, but also the height of the buildings. You can see a very clear hierarchy system. So Chinese people pay very much important attention to filial piety, meaning that children should respect the parents, parents respect the grandparents. So that's something has to
Right,
come
right,
down
right.
to all families.
that's a very important part of Confucianism.
Exactly. But for the imperial family, when they were in the palace, if they were in the front half,
Yeah.
which is for the state affairs,
The
so
administrative area.
he was the monarch
Okay.
of the empire.
Okay.
And then there's a hierarchy system.
Yeah.
But if you look at the patterns,
Yeah.
it's exactly the same pattern that you can find in his family. And that pattern also in turn can be found in each individual family like this one.
Right.
So even if it's a small family, you can still see that the parents, grandparents are
Okay.
in turn taking the best houses in the courtyard.
So this reflects the hierarchy system in every family.
Yeah, like Winston Churchill once said, when we build buildings, buildings shape us. So I think the Chinese emperor also understands that.
Yeah.
So we designed the city to reflect a philosophy,
Okay.
a moral values, and that city that we built want to teach every people who live and work, even visit the city, to understand that moral
Right.
system.
That's pretty profound. But well, since from this painting we're able to see the summer palace and all those cultural relics in Beijing. So it could be like a very classic hand-painted tour map for all of you. That once you come to Beijing, you know where to go. I'm not sure about putting you on a donkey, but that must be a special way of touring.
The donkey was a very important means of transportation.
So, as a lot of you, especially the history lovers, you all know that the last empire here is the Qing Dynasty. That was the Manchurian that came over and replaced the Han Chinese. So, their families are actually categorized like into different sects of the city according to the banner system. I guess this is the map to show that like different banner, they live in different parts of the city. So Matthew, what does this tell us? Especially the like very much in detail map down below.
So this actually is a very interesting phase on the development of the old city. Because Manchurian they came in, they are small in their population, so they want a city wall around them so they feel safe. So they actually moved all the Han Chinese to the outer city, and all the Manchurians stayed in the inner city, around the imperial city. So that's how they designed it. So there are 8 banners, each banner with maybe about a few 100,000 people, and all these people took courtyard houses and in the hutongs, they settled down and developed. The bannerman, but gradually the bannerman system were kind of becoming loose, only because more and more high-ranking Chinese officials they need to work in the Forbidden City.
Yeah.
So if they live in the outer city, it's difficult for them to go to work every day. So gradually, some senior members of the Han Chinese moved back into the inner city. So that system didn't work out quite well. But because of that, we can see even today, most of the courtyard houses in the inner city are much larger in scale. And the quality of the courtyard houses also much better. And if you look at the details, some of the architectural patterns and brick carving, stone carvings looks much better. So this is the Qing Dynasty. Here's an interesting map down below. You can see this is a map from the 15th year of Emperor Qianlong's reign. That's 1750s, 1750. And this highlighted bit is this particular hutong.
Oh,
The
that's
reason,
where we are.
Yeah, the reason that we know that was because Qianlong Emperor hired a Jesuit to lead this mapping work. And probably we'll all know that by late Ming Dynasty, in the Wanli Emperor's reign, we started to have Jesuit coming back.
Okay.
The late Pope Francis, who just passed away, is a Jesuit.
Oh, wow.
So this Jesuit mapped the entire city exactly according to proportion, to the scale. So this is a very well. It's a very good source for us to research, because by 1750 photography wasn't developed, and the painting wasn't enough. So this is a very, very good information for us to understand, archive for us to understand that period of history. And you can see back then the size of this hutong is 700 meters, the width 7 to 9 meters. So that's defined a typical hutong in the mid-Qing dynasty, mid 18th century. If we turn around here, you can see another aerial shot of this particular hutong from 1959.
Okay.
So if you compare this aerial shot from 1959 with the Tianlong map from 1750, over 200 years, this particular hutong didn't change that much.
Okay.
Surprisingly, it didn't change that much.
I mean, it's better preserved.
Very well preserved. You can, if you can't read this aerial shot, then we have prepared you this model.
Wow.
So this
Very
model
impressive.
is basically built on top of that data from that aerial shot. I think if you take a photo from here, just like taking our audience down into a special tour in the 1950s to follow a hutong go into the old city.
Well, this is the classic hutong, the alleyway with
typical,
houses
I
on
would
both
say
sides.
typical hutong.
Typical.
Many hutongs were like this. Of course, you can see already back in the 1950s, we already have modernized a very big percentage of this hutong neighborhood. For example, you see there was actually a church over there, and that building over there was international school. And many of these Western-style buildings belongs to various institutions. Some of them are residential, some of them were for work. And that one was the residence for the People's Art Theater staff, which we mentioned.
Right. Those performers.
Yeah.
That's over there. So this, so how do we define like an individual courtyard? Because like for me, I was born and raised in the Courtyard, in the quadrangle, but I'm no expert like when it comes to layout and planning. So it just confuses me that it looks like several courtyard now like integrated into one large compound. Where is the borderline?
The borderline is very hard to define because, just like any family, you prosper, you have a decline. You don't really always prosper.
Okay.
So when you made a fortune, you started to buy real estate.
Oh, okay.
When you are having some financial difficulties, you sell your real estate. And sometimes you sell portion of it, part of it, to make sure that, the rest of the family is still being looked after.
Okay.
So originally, when Kublai Khan developed the city, he designed the city to be similar in size, each portion allocated to one rich family. They want, rich families to come into the capital.
Okay.
So, but again, within a decade or two, people's fortunes started to change.
Right.
So some of them started to buy up their neighbors' courtyard. Some of them cut it into several halves, divide it among their children. Some of them sell it. So all this kind of economic activities cut these hutong neighborhoods into different slices.
Okay.
So sometimes it builds into this kind of narrow hutongs.
Right.
To make sure that even some of the families in the back of the courtyard can still have access without having to go through, some others smaller courtyards.
Right.
So this is how a new hutong neighborhood developed like this.
So Kublai Khan didn't foresee the shift of wealth.
No, I think he doesn't care. That's not his
He
business.
doesn't care.
Right? He understands he's not going to rule forever.
That's not his focus.
That's any city, how any city develops.
Right.
And if we can't really understand that hutong because it's too small, that's 1 to 100 in scale. But this is 1 to 25.
Oh.
So this one
larger.
is a courtyard house. We call it 4 connected courtyard houses.
Right.
So this is one individual courtyard house. Second, third, and the fourth. So you can see they're different in their spatial arrangements. So of course, this is the most important section that will be kept for the most important members of the family, right? So this one in the early 1950s belonged to a very important gentleman called Zhang Shizhao. So he was a minister in Republic of China. He was also Chairman Mao's teacher at one point in Hunan. He's from Hunan. And so when he came to Beijing, Chairman Mao gave him this courtyard, allocated him to live in this courtyard. This belongs to the state, so he was able to live here. And his son-in-law is what's his name? Qiao Guanghua. So his son-in-law, his name was Qiao Guanghua. And Qiao Guanghua was Minister of Foreign Affairs for a number of years.
Okay.
The most important historical event that Qiao Guanghua orchestrated was China's return to UN. So when China resumed our seat in United Nations, it was him and his colleague burst into laughter. Many of you may remember that famous photo. As a Chinese, we will remember that famous photo.
That was back in 1949?
No. 70, I think 72.
72. Okay. Oh, a few years difference. I'm sorry. So I see that there is a screen wall made of bricks.
Yes, that's an independent screen wall. That also shows how wealthy this family was.
Yeah.
Only a wealthy family can afford to build a wall, standing alone just for the purpose of making sure that any visitor coming in, they don't look into anyone's courtyard, anyone's house, through the windows or through the gate.
Okay.
So this is again for privacy reasons. So anyone who had the notion that Chinese people don't care about privacy is totally wrong, very wrong. Because we care about it. We not only care about it, we developed a specific architecture form, a style.
You just need to come to the courtyard and see it. All right.
Yes. Just over your screen to see a model is not enough.
Right. Seeing is believing.